What is going on, Ivorius? It's your boy Edward V, and today I'm going to do something that I've never done before. I'm going to compact a lot of the important elements of intermittent fasting to do it in a way where it's sustainable and you're ensuring yourself that you're following the protocol the correct way for the best possible results. This is somewhat of a summarization video of all of the basic important elements that come with intermittent fasting, and I'm going to break those down in this video. Stay tuned. Okay, quickly before I start, I want to thank our sponsors, Flexpro Meals. If you're doing intermittent fasting, but you're struggling with the calorie counting element, and you just want to be able to get this calorie thing down packed without all of the worry, Flexpro Meal helps you do that. They portion the meals, cook the meals, and deliver them to you. You can stylize your menu to anything you want. Even a keto diet menu is available on the website. They deliver the meals right to your doorstep. All you got to do is toss them in the freezer, and whenever you need to eat them, you can just toss them in the microwave. It's calorie and macro convenience at its highest level. The link will be in the description below, and if you use the promo code FLEDGE20, you can get 20% off your entire first order. Now let's move on to the video. First thing I'm gonna say is probably going to throw a curveball to everybody out there. You're probably not gonna expect this, but the first thing that I would say is the guide to intermittent fasting, especially when you're going into it, is focus on the foods that you want to eat. Now, there's somewhat of a caveat because I want to say at first, but your body and your mind and everything starts to kind of shift when you're doing intermittent fasting. So once you start to get acclimated to the whole fasting regimen, you become more hyper aware of what you're eating and you tend to make more healthier choices. But in the beginning, because willpower is something that does exist, it's something that is very finite. So you don't want to just pound at that willpower instantly by making sure you're eating all of this stuff and making sure you're doing this specific diet and doing this and fasting and this and that. When you do all of that, when you compound all of those elements, it makes the fasting portion much harder because you're taking your willpower and you're dividing it into 4 and 5. You're focusing on too many things. The intermittent fasting aspect in terms of health and in terms of focusing heavily on burning body fat as the fuel that's generated is a very powerful protocol. So try to preserve that protocol by entering the intermittent fasting arena, allowing yourself to simply focus on intermittent fasting. Eat the foods that you like. Obviously, the smaller time window is going to make it easier for you, but you don't want to go from not fasting at all and not dieting to intermittent fasting and dieting on a specific diet. You're going to make the barrier to entry so hard. Get intermittent fasting down packed. Trust me, it takes a few weeks, but after a few weeks, you get into a position where you don't even have an appetite. You don't even have any feelings of hunger during any of the times when you're fasting. Your body will adjust to the fasting regimen. At that point, you can start to look more into the diet. That will take about 3 weeks or 4 weeks, but try to go into it eating the things that you like so that you can stick to the regimen. Once you get into that position, you'll feel it. You'll notice that you don't have that hunger or that appetite. Once you get into that position, then start looking into the diet and focusing on the diet that you want to focus on. Another thing that I want to say is you need to remain hydrated. Yes, because there are other side effects that can happen when you simply are dehydrated. Normally, before intermittent fasting, when you just ate food, even if you didn't drink water or whatever you did, simply eating the food actually created hydration. Since there's water in the foods that we eat, because we're eliminating that constant hydration from the food, you might think that the amount of water that you drank before is sufficient. But now that you're condensing your eating window to a smaller time frame, you're not consuming water as frequently. These things can cause headaches, irritability, and even water retention. So you want to make sure that you're hydrated. And the best thing to utilize for hydration is water, as it has no effect on your fasting regimen. It doesn't provide an energy source to elevate anything in your body hormonally. It's simply just water. Now, bouncing off of that, I want to touch on something that has a lot of conflict within the intermittent fasting community. And because there's a lot of conflict, and because I understand the nuance of how people utilize the intermittent fasting protocol, I would say to try your best to minimize any of the dependencies that you have with consumption when in a fasted state. So what does this mean? If you like to drink coffee, if you like to drink green tea, if you like to, have seltzer water, those are really where I would say is the cutoff. Those things carry little to no calories and doesn't affect your fast. Everything else after that, it becomes a little bit trickier. The best and safest thing is to minimize as many of those dependencies as you can. But if you want a breakdown on what breaks a fast and what doesn't break a fast and all of these different things, I have a few videos on it. It's somewhat of a series. As people keep asking me, does this break your fast? Does this break your fast? Does this break your fast? I continue to make videos about it. So you can click this card to see my latest video, and from there you can bounce to the other one if you want to. But like I said, coffee, water, seltzer water, and green tea are the core essentials where they're pretty acceptable. Anything after that is a little iffy. Now moving on. This is pretty important. Picking a fasting window that makes sense to your lifestyle. Don't just pick a window at random. Literally evaluate your lifestyle. See if you go to work in the morning, if you go to work in the afternoon, if you go to work during the overnight, if you don't go to work, if you work from home. Know where you stand in terms of your lifestyle. Do you go out every Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays? Do your friends come over every day? And do you eat at a specific time with your friends? You have to evaluate your lifestyle. Sit back, look at what you do on a daily basis, and then construct your time frames based on the convenience factor within your lifestyle. Remember, you want this thing to work. So you want to take down as many walls, which is why the first thing I mentioned is eating the things you like at first, because you just want to get into this thing. You want to build a rhythm so that it is easy for you to do different things. You want to build a rhythm so that it makes it easier for you to be a little bit more nuanced when doing your intermittent fasting protocol. Evaluate your lifestyle first. From there, then build the best comfortable eating window that you can. Now here's another one that might throw a wrench into everyone who's viewing this video, who has viewed my videos in the past. Create exception days once you're acclimated to the regimen of intermittent fasting. Now, before you shut off the video and say, wait a second, why is he changing his tune? I'm not changing my tune. Fasting every day is 100% beneficial. It is a compounding effect. The more days that you fast, the more you'll be tapping into your body fat, and that squeezing out effect of your body hormonally activating elements to force body fat out in a caloric deficit, of course, those things will still be compounding. So the more you do intermittent fasting, the better it will be for you. But if you need to have exception days, because that's the only way that you see this continuing for the rest of your life, then create those exception days. Understanding that, yes, you will get a lot of benefits. If you do 5 days of fasting with 2 days of not fasting, you will get a lot of benefits. That's 5 days of fast. That is still more fasting days than not. However, if you fast 7 days, the compounding effect will be greater over time than just 5 days. But that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is adherence, to be able to do this for the rest of your life. So if you need to set up a system where you can do this for the rest of your life, then there's no issue with that. I think there's a confusion when it comes to if you should fast every day, if you shouldn't fast every day, or what should you do. Adherence being the more important thing is what do you want to do. However, scientifically, metabolically, hormonally, yes, it is beneficial to fast every day, but it is still beneficial to fast 4 days, and it is still beneficial to fast 5 days. In terms of what's happening in your body, it's not going to be as potent as 7 days, but it's still going to be very effective. But I do say to do this once you're acclimated to the regimen, once you get over that hump where you no longer feel that sensation of hunger during your fasting period. Another thing that you must understand is that all other fitness protocols still apply even though you're doing intermittent fasting. Some people look at intermittent fasting as a I don't need to do anything at all regimen, but that is not the case. You still need to work out. You still need to go to the gym or work out at home or do calisthenics or lift weights and count calories. You still need to do all of those things. Because you have to do all of these things, though, it doesn't omit the benefits of intermittent fasting. What intermittent fasting does is it targets body fat, reduces insulin, increases norepinephrine, reduces reduces oxidative stress, which reduces cortisol. It does a lot of things hormonally to help you burn body fat when in a caloric deficit. Plus, there are a lot of health elements that come with intermittent fasting as well, like autophagy, preventing things like Alzheimer's. Those are things that are within the intermittent fasting health spectrum. But if you want to build muscle or maintain muscle, you have to work out. If you want to lose weight, you have to count calories and be at a caloric deficit. If you want to improve your cardiovascular health, you have to do cardio workouts. It just still has to exist. Intermittent fasting doesn't get you away from doing all these other things. If you don't do those things, will you lose weight? Yes, it's possible, but it's not because you're not counting calories. It's because intermittent fasting makes it easier for you to eat less. Just understand that if you don't do the fitness portion, don't expect the fitness outcomes. Another thing is, as you move into intermittent fasting, as there's a time period where you've been doing it for a long time and you're changing your goals, you should be able to change your eating window. It isn't a crime to go from 20 hours of fasting to 16 because you want to build more muscle and you want to have more time to get in calories. It isn't a crime to go from 16 to 18. It isn't a crime to go from 18 to 20 or from 20 to 18. Or it isn't a crime to go from fasting at night to fasting in the morning. Whatever suits your goals. I understand that some people have to go into the gym with a meal. Then you can prioritize your timing so that you can do that. I know some people that want to eat right after their workout. Then you can prioritize your eating regimen to do that. Don't be afraid to change your timing based on your goals. Now, it isn't efficient to do it every day. Like Monday, I want to do this, and then Tuesday, I'm doing this. So I'm switching my window from Monday to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's just going to put you all over the place. And then essentially you wouldn't be even intermittent fasting. But if you did something for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and then now you want to switch up, go ahead and then just stay consistent on that switch up based on the goal that you're trying to accomplish. Don't be afraid to move the pieces around when it comes to the intermittent fasting timing and regimen. And this brings me to the final thing, which kind of summarizes most of what I've talked about. Creating a sustainable system. And that's it. The most important thing is that you do this forever, because if you don't, what's going to happen is there's going to be a rebound effect. 16-8 versus just dieting, this has been seen to be easier to adhere to. And the reason I feel that intermittent fasting has that ability to adhere to it is because of its flexibility in nature. Yes, you can change the times around and you can eat in the morning and eat at night and you can do this and that. It allows you to move it so much, to create so much nuance that the normal diet cannot give you. When you have to eat a specific type of food and you can't eat the type of food that you want, if you want to be vegan or if you want to do keto, if you can't do what you want to do in terms of what you want to eat, that makes it harder to adhere to. And because this doesn't restrict you in that fashion, it is an amazing tool to create a system for adherence. And as I said, that is the most important part. And of course, I want to thank my patrons for my Patreon, and I'm going to put their names right up here. And of course, as always, I'll see you on Wednesday for another FAQ. Peace!